For those born between 1965 and 1980, youth was defined by a specific kind of technological and cultural noise. This cohort was the first to navigate life with cable TV, music videos, and a remote control always within reach. They came of age as world-altering barriers collapsed. Watching the Berlin Wall fall suggested that even the most immovable structures could be dismantled with enough collective momentum. Today, the women of this generation have become the hyper-competent infrastructure of the modern family. They are the ones remembering every appointment and managing every crisis, yet many are doing so while masking a state of total soul-level fatigue. Psychiatrists have begun to classify this specific state of burnout as age-related gendered diminishment, or AGD. As this diagram shows, the syndrome manifests across three distinct domains: psychological, social, and behavioral. The psychological indicators include a pervasive sense of identity uncertainty and diminished self-worth. Socially, these women often report a sudden decline in relevance or invitations. Behaviorally, this often leads to a gradual withdrawal from social spaces where they once felt valued. This epidemic remains largely invisible because the public still associates midlife crisis with outward, male-centered displays, like buying a sports car. The internal exhaustion of middle-aged women doesn't make as much noise, so it is often ignored. AGD develops as a cumulative response to foundational pressures that have been building for decades. To understand why Gen X women are currently reaching a breaking point, we have to look back at the specific way their generation was conditioned. We need to investigate the link between early childhood programming and the specific requirements of being a middle-aged woman today. Growing up in the 70s and 80s meant navigating a latchkey childhood with minimal adult supervision. This environment was backdropped by rising cultural anxieties, exemplified by the missing children's faces that became a fixture of the morning breakfast table. Many were raised by silent generation parents who modeled stoicism above all else. In these homes, emotional communication was frequently treated as a luxury, teaching children that survival meant handling problems alone and without complaint. This environment produced a trait psychologists call hyper-independence. For a Gen X woman, the inability to ask for help is a learned response used to stay safe in a world that felt unregulated. They learned that needing other people was a liability. This early conditioning hardwired them to shoulder massive weights in total silence. As they reached adulthood, the culture shifted to tell these women they could truly have it all. Milestones like Title IX promised that the barriers of the past were gone, opening the door to both high-level careers and family life. That societal promise met a harsh reality. Many entered the workforce during the early 90s recession, facing a stagnant job market in direct contrast to the bright future they had been promised. They were expected to meet the traditional maternal standards of their mothers, while simultaneously fulfilling new, demanding roles as primary breadwinners. The message that they could have it all transformed into a societal mandate that they must do it all, usually without any of the structural support that a multi-role life requires. Decades later, that hyper-independent girl has become a woman, caught in a generational vice. While Gen X is often called the sandwich generation, this group is currently experiencing the absolute peak of that structural pressure. A woman in midlife now occupies a shrinking space. From above, she manages the heavy logistical and emotional toll of medical care for aging boomer parents. From below, she supports Gen Z children through mental health crises and educational costs. Within this squeeze, she is also managing the physical transition of menopause, while facing a workplace that often ignores or erases women as they age. When years of hyper-independence meet this peak multi-generational load, internal resources eventually run dry. The result is the psychological depletion of AGD. This exhaustion is a predictable outcome of the sheer weight of the loads she is currently carrying. She functions as the essential infrastructure for her parents, children, and workplace, yet society has built no corresponding infrastructure to support her. Midlife should not be pathologized as a personal crisis. Instead, it can be viewed as an existential crossroads. The profound discomfort of the stage is an awakening. The moment a woman begins to question the unsustainable roles she absorbed as a child. Relief requires an external shift. Employers must move past empty praise and offer visible, tangible support and flexibility for midlife women. But there is also an internal shift. Gen X women must consciously unlearn the childhood mandate that says they have to suffer in silence to prove their value. Rest is a requirement, not a reward to be earned. And asking for help is a sign of practical necessity, not a sign of weakness. Allowing a few plates to drop does not indicate failure. It is the first step toward reclaiming a life that is actually sustainable.